Hey guys, it's Steven from Fratelli, and today we're talking watches. I got my hands on a vintage Citizen automatic watch. It's by no means a valuable or expensive piece, but it's a neat little watch, and it's in nearly new condition from when it was purchased around 1982. The story of this watch is it's my dad's, but I had no idea he even owned it. So my dad is not a big watch guy at all, never wears a watch. Been trying to get him more into it. And recently when my parents were visiting, we were walking through the city and we popped into a watch store and I was showing him the Grand Seiko Snowflake, a watch I'm really hot on right now. And he's like, your mom bought me a Seiko a long time ago, before you were born. I was like, oh, you have a vintage Seiko? And he's like, yeah, it's an automatic one too. I was like, oh, that sounds pretty cool. I definitely want to check it out. Quickly, my mom corrected him. She's like, I didn't buy you a Seiko, I bought you a Citizen watch. And so here's the Seiko, the Citizen watch. Let's go ahead and take a closer look. All right, here we are up close with the vintage Citizen automatic. It's seen some daylight. I think it's been in my dad's drawer for 37 years, but here it is, up close, breathing, seeing the world. So first thing I want to just knock out about this watch is it looks, on camera you might not be able to tell, it's obviously looks gold, but it's not a real gold watch. If you read the case back, it says base metal top and stainless steel case back, so it is not a high material watch. That being said, the price point on these things are incredibly low. I couldn't find this exact same version for sale anywhere, but very similar models from this Eagle line, that's what it's part of, I probably should have mentioned that earlier, are all selling on eBay for under $100. So for a vintage mechanical automatic watch under $100, you really can't go too wrong. So that's the price and the material on the watch. So on the overall size of the watch, I measured it roughly as about 36 or 37 millimeters. So it's gonna wear similar to like a Rolex Datejust 36, a vintage watch. So as expected from a watch of this age. I have a smaller wrist, so I actually think it fits pretty nicely. I don't like to go above like 40 or 42 millimeters on my watches. So this definitely fits me nice. The other thing that was convenient is my wrist is the same size as my dad's was in 1982, so that worked out pretty well. Also, while I have it on, I'll just talk about the bracelet. It is a really nice bracelet design-wise. I'm a little picky and a little snobby about bracelets because I have a Rolex Explorer 2, and I just think the Oyster bracelet on the Rolexes is just such a fantastic steel bracelet. It makes it hard for me to like other ones. But A, I really like the design on this one, and B, it's very comfortable. Although it has cut my hand opening up. I don't know if this part, I think this part's sharp right here of the buckle when I pulled it off. So I have to be careful with that. While we're on the bracelets, I will show also there is an engraving on it from my mom. All my love, Fran. Very nice, Mom. Very nice touch. Very sweet. So that's the bracelet. And then moving on to the case, another vintage style design here. Reminds me of the quartz watches that Rolex did I think they were in the 70s when they came out. So definitely a vintage style design on the case. Really like the case and bracelet design overall. Really happy with that, and kudos to Citizen on this really neat design. Onto the dial, you can see it's got a, as expected, a vintage style dial with that inner ring on it, which is a different color than the outside of the dial. One thing that really surprised me is that the Loom still works on this watch. Granted, it is a bit faint, but I was not expecting a watch of this age to have any functioning loom, so that I was also happy about. So also on the dial, you could see that it's got a day and date display that is powered by the automatic movement. So on that movement, it is a Miyota based movement, so Japanese made movement. It's 8200 is the number on the movement. I did not scientifically test the watch, but I did set it against my phone, and it seems to be very accurate. It was the same time as my phone. I checked like 2 days later, so I don't know the exact plus or minus of seconds each day, but in terms of the accuracy I need in a watch, it is there, and that was also impressive and surprising, frankly. So definitely works. I think my dad left this in a drawer for like nearly
4 decades. But that being said, it's still not a new watch. It's, you know, from 1982, and the fact that it's still that accurate, it's pretty incredible. Likewise, no stretch on the bracelet, so that's really nice. So, you know, definitely held up. Again, though, I don't think he wore it very much. But yeah, so that's the overall, you know, design of the watch and the basics on it. I'm not an expert on it. It's not my watch, but hopefully that gave you some good reference points there. The one thing, though, I will say, besides it cutting me, the other thing I really don't like about the watch is the crystal. I don't care that it's not sapphire. Again, under $100 watch here, but it's got like a domed crystal, but it's square in the middle versus being like a smooth dome. So I guess the square is kind of cool looking in terms of like a vintage design, but it's just really annoying in my opinion, and it kind of feels like the watch is broken or cracked when you first look at it. So maybe that's something I'll get used to, but that is the one thing I will say I do not like about the watch. Overall, though, I was very impressed with it and pleasantly surprised with it. I was slightly disappointed at first when I thought it was going to be a vintage Seiko, then it was a vintage Citizen. I didn't know too much about the vintage Citizens, but once I learned a little bit more about this watch and the Japanese movement and, you know, the price point on these things, I was very pleasantly surprised and, you know, really thought it was a pretty neat watch. So that's the overview of the watch. If you have any other questions, put them in the comments. Again, not my own watch, so I might not have any more additional details, but we'll try my best. Also, if you like the watch or the video, if you like the video, please actually like it on YouTube. That would help us out a lot. Likewise, if you subscribe to the channel, that would just make my day. But in the meantime, thank you so much for watching, guys. Really appreciate you guys clicking the video and checking out my dad's watch, or my dad's drawers watch. Hopefully we get him to wear it more. Put in the comments if you think he should wear it more. Thanks again, though, guys. See you guys next time. Steven from Fratelli.